And now, your official TigerBait live show with Mike Scarborough and Buddy Songy starts now.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It's been weeks since we've done a live show, Buddy and I. Holidays, of course, with Christmas and New Year's both falling on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And, of course, we had the New Year's Eve bowl game. So Press and I did a post-game show. So the next day was New Year's, and we didn't do a show that week. So happy to be back. Got a lot to talk about. If you see the title of the show, obviously transfer portal. What a haul LSU made in December. Much more upbeat about the future of LSU football after an incredible December. We're going to talk about that. More to come in the portal possibly. And men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball is just a couple of weeks away from Jay Johnson coming out and talk to us and them getting started. So ready for the 2025 and what it all has to bring. Welcome in, buddy.
Good to see you, Mike Scarborough. Of course, as always, we hope everybody brought the holidays in the right way and all you kids got what you wanted. And all of us adults probably spent too much money. But look, I am glad to move on to 2025. I've talked to Cobble and Chessa and other people. So kind of want to start off today about asking you, highlight of 2024 for LSU sports. Obviously, the women won a natty in gymnastics, something they've tried to do for a long time. But other than that, your highlights of what you want. And obviously, we'll get into now, sink our teeth into 2025. And glad to see you've come over to the Brian Kelly fan club. As by the way, did you see him promoting and wearing that shirt? That shirt doesn't look any better on anybody than you. So we'll tell you a little bit about that during the spring when we had some fun with that. But men's hard to watch. Women with a big game tomorrow night at Tennessee. Baseball is going to be loaded. Gymnastics. Never seen Jay Clark have this much talent. And believe it or not, I think Beth Torina's got the best left-hander pitcher coming in here. Heavener is coming in here. So a lot of new names, a lot of fun, and we're happy to have all of you on the ride.
When you get a 2-year extension, buddy, in softball, you better do better than 7th or 8th in the league.
What's that about an extension?
Torina got a 2-year extension last year. Why? I have no idea.
Okay. Well, look, you know how it is around here.
I was ready to be totally 3/4 full, and then that softball had to come up.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're here, and we're going to talk with you all about the things going on and a little tidbits about the 4 teams left in the Final Four in the CFP. Tomorrow night, Penn State, Notre Dame, 6:30 ESPN on the Orange Bowl. Of course, the Cotton Bowl, Friday night, Ohio State, Texas. We'll give you some scoop on all 4 of those teams.
All right, everybody. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. We got, like I said, we're going to have a lot to discuss. We want to get to all of your questions or comments that we can. And, of course, as always, big thanks for Super Chats. Right off the bat, Todd Davis, go Tigers. Roger Ramjet, hey, Mike and Buddy, good to be with you. Always enjoy the show. Wilt, do you see McMahon making the tournament? NIT, maybe. NCAA, no way. You can't when you look at LSU's schedule and how deep the SEC is, and to totally get outclassed at home by Vanderbilt, then you go lose at Missouri by 16. And when Buddy and I talked about it on his show earlier today, you go line by line on that schedule in the coming weeks, and you start trying to figure out where the wins are going to come from. What did we set the over and under on? We bet on how many losses the women might have. We didn't bet, but we picked. But the over and under is 3.
They're the same.
You go with
they're the same.
3.
Women are going to lose 3. The men are going to win 3 is what we talked about.
There you go.
And not trying to be negative, but they have got to make some changes. People got after me last year when I got critical of their offense. But once again, so much nonsensical dribbling and turnovers. And so we'll get into a little bit about that. But a tournament, maybe you get the NIT if you somehow end up at 500, but they'd have to win some games in the conference to do that. So I don't see them sniffing any tournament. And I think the big thing that you and I kind of talked a little bit about today on this show is at what point he's got a good class coming in here, But at what point are you going to start to see some improvement with the program?
Yeah. And let's not forget, look, this team early on was fun to watch. And you guys listen to this show, I thought they might be able to sneak into the NCAA tournament and be a strong 7th or 8th best SEC team and get in the tournament because the league's so strong. But losing Reed is just, it's so unfortunate for Matt McMahon. Of course, now the way they're starting, everybody's wondering, do you make a move on him now if this continues?
You mean after the year?
Yeah, I just don't see you doing that.
Yeah.
Look, you can be, I don't want to say you're being negative, but you can not have a positive outlook, but also not think that McMahon's going anywhere for a while. He does have a strong signing class. They've done a lot of work. He inherited a mess. He's dug his way out, and then he has an injury that just it really hurt them badly.
And one other
tidbit, I feel bad for him.
One other tidbit, you didn't get the numbers right with Terrell Ward. Terrell Ward is a kid that had to put back at the end of the game to beat Kentucky a couple of years ago. He was their best outside shooter, 6'6", swing guy, not that big, not great on defense, but could fill it up. And for whatever reason, that NIL money or whatever in the transfer portal, so he didn't come. And then, of course, as you said, Reed, that was just – he'd gotten to be 6'10", 250, and you knew he was going to be the force for LSU down low. So they're struggling with their post play. And Damian Collins is just too thin to defend down low. And of course, their 7-footer's been hurt. We're just starting to see a little bit of Fountain. So it's a mess right now with the men's basketball.
It is.
Love to be talking about a couple wins here in another week or two, but on the road again at Ole Miss on Saturday.
Brad David, finally a live show. Yeah, we're here. Dane Bergeron, good evening, Mike and Buddy. I listened to you on the radio today. I tried to call into the show to help boost Buddy's ratings.
Well, we have a new screening service.
If I'm on with you can't take calls when the guest's on, can you?
Yes, we can, but I need to know ahead of time to put them on a special line.
Okay. Count the money. Matt is getting fired. It's the same thing every year. Don't forget, he's got a 7-year deal when he was hired.
I was going to say, do you know how many years he has left?
And I'd have to do the math on it.
Yeah. And so, look, I mentioned
it wouldn't be cheap. It would not be cheap.
It wouldn't be cheap. And you still have that shadow of Will Wade on hanging over his head. Doesn't he get free from all sanctions with the NCAA after this year?
Yeah, the show cause ends.
Okay, so the show cause ends after this year.
I can tell you right now, I don't know what I kind of glanced at what Manise has done so far. He's played a decent December schedule. I don't know that he's going to have as easy of a path to getting to the NCAA tournament as he did last year. But if he does get there again, and it looks like they're going to be hiring a new basketball coach. I was told last year that he was gunning for the Texas job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know that they would hire him, but that's the job that one of the main, because of the show cause, of course, but also why he didn't make a move last year and stayed in Lake Charles.
And that's why I mentioned it, because a lot of LSU fans want them to rehire Will Wade, but you got a lot of money tied up with Matt McMahon, and we'll see how it plays out. But look, everybody pulling for the guy, but he's got to get his team under control. They're just not playing under control right now.
Bart Smokey, our buddy, says, who will be the next new assistant coach? That has been quiet, hasn't it?
Excellent question. And along those lines, Bart, I ask this question every year. Is he finally going to break down and get a quote-unquote special teams coach? And obviously,
I don't think he does.
I don't think he does either. But I think that if you asked him and you asked the public what the grade is for special teams, it's a C. It might even be a C- for 3 years.
But I don't know that it's what you're upset about. Is I don't think there's a problem with the breakdown of what they're doing. You just haven't liked the personnel.
Buddy, every game they just had a game with two footballs and special teams. Every game there's one or another, whether it be a block PAT, a missed field goal, whatever. You got to get somebody in here.
But a lot of that also is still personnel.
What about punting? You ever seen punting this bad last year? That's part of special teams. So you brought Chadwick.
You ain't got one.
Yeah, you got one coming in, Grant Chadwick. We'll talk about the players tonight. We feel like have a chance to start for the 25 Tigers. And if Grant Chadwick loses the punting job to Nurse Court's favorite guy, then you got problems. Peyton Todd, always waiting for him to step up.
All right. Of course, we're here every week thanks to our title sponsors, and the very big title sponsor for us is Pride Roofing. Let's hear from Mike and Alex.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Little Alex.
Have you been affected by wind, hail, and tornadoes on the North Shore? Well, we're here to help.
Insurance claim, no problem.
We also have a new franchise location in New Orleans.
We don't build projects, we build memories.
Though you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer at TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Remember to call us at 855-PRIDE-16.
There you go, 855-PRIDE-16. Say TigerBait when you call for your free roof inspection, and they're going to pay for it. You have TigerBait Premium free for a year. You can't beat that deal. No obligations anywhere all the way around. And again, if you've got a bid from another roofing company on their letterhead, Mike and his team will beat it by $150. And of course, right here in Baton Rouge, Homa, the North Shore, Hammond, you name it in South Louisiana, they're there for you. And absolutely the best.
Great people to deal with. We talk about a commercial, residential, and metal roofs. Metal roofs continue to be very popular, Mike. They're going to send people out there. You will get Mike Faraday a lot of times on a personal call to work with you. Always a free roofing inspection. Going to take care of you with all of your materials. They do the whole 9 yards from A to Z. Give them an opportunity. Once again, 1-855-PRIDE-16. Tell them Mike and Buddy sent you over. You will not be disappointed. We thank all of those people who have trusted us on our word, because once Mike and them get there, they take care of business. They are truly some of the best people in the roofing business. Give them an opportunity.
Spectrum Wellcare might be ready for the Irish fans to spam your chat tonight. Well, they haven't shown up yet, but look, they're certainly excited. But this correlation, or the way they want to do a comparison and state that, look, they weren't even done in the last game. I started getting notifications on my phone of new comments on some of our older videos. That game wasn't even finished, the last playoff game, and they were already posting new comments. One of them was, again, thank you for taking Brian Kelly away from us. Merry Christmas, blah, on and on. But look, BK inherited what he inherited, and certainly he left Notre Dame in much better shape than he walked into here in Baton Rouge. So good for them, but it's not the same.
Well, and I will say this from the Notre Dame standpoint. I could understand Marcus Freeman is a younger guy. He can relate to these guys better than Brian, who has been perceived in many ways to be standoffish and arrogant, and maybe having, the quote about is he going to fit here in Baton Rouge and in the SEC? That all being said, they play an appreciably easier schedule than coming in the SEC. I think what pissed off the Notre Dame people is that BK said he wanted to leave Notre Dame. One of the reasons, the academic situation, not being able to get all the guys in that they want because of academic standards. But he said he thought he had a better chance to win a natty at the SEC, and they are holding him to that. I will say this, and I've told you this numerous times. Mike Denbrock was a great hire for him because Marcus is a defensive coach. When you're a defensive guy, you don't mess with the offensive guy. He's calling whatever he wants. BK has his hand on the play sheet. BK meddles with the offensive coordinator. That wasn't all Joe Sloan this year. First year, and naturally, 30-something years in the business.
And that's why I think he's prone to hold on to Joe Sloan.
Well, and we'll see. But
because he can meddle with a younger coach.
The point of it is that Penn State is 1-15 against top 5 teams with James Franklin. So you don't have either coaches that have done a great job. But I can understand them all that. But let's just wait until we see the landscape. And, of course, Franklin stirred it up by saying Notre Dame and everybody else ought to be in conferences. Everybody ought to play the same number of conference games and all that. Look, a lot of momentum at some point going to head to Nick Saban being the commissioner of college football. Coach K could be the commissioner of college basketball. Now, who you get in baseball, Skip's a little too old, but I think you may see that being pushed because with the committee and all the things going on, Mike, you need somebody that's going to and now that Saban's out of it, after a couple of years out of it, he might be the guy to straighten it out. But it is a hot mess. Once again, Penn State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a slight favorite. Ohio State and Texas Friday night. And so I've got stats on the number of natties each team has won. We'll give you some of that later. By the way, log in, give us your opinion. How many college coaches that are active right now have won national championships? You know?
You can tell me one?
Two. Kirby and Dabo.
Okay.
And oh, by the way, Cade Klubenek, the quarterback from Clemson, is coming back. Mike's already said that's going to be an L, not an LSU win, but an L.
Yeah, I'm picking this in an L, but I'm also thinking LSU's going to have a pretty darn good season next year.
Yeah. But anyway, now that Mac Brown got pushed out, now that Harbaugh went to the Chargers, and now that Saban retired, only Kirby and Dabo.
You know, there was that stretch after 2011, and I don't know what year it got to, 15, 16, wherever that was, where every year LSU, Alabama, I got to the point where it's like, I will never pick LSU to beat Alabama again until they break through and do it at least once. And I've gotten that way now with the openers.
Yeah.
And especially when you have to go to Clemson.
But it sure is nice that what we're going to be looking at is about 47% of the LSU football team is going to be new players this year. 23 recruits. I'm thinking that they're going to have about 17 in the portal, 16 in the portal. That's 40 of 85 players. You're talking 45, 47%. And that's the fun of it, to see how good DJ Pickett is, to see what the center from Virginia Tech can do, to see what the corner from Virginia Tech can do. And look, this is the year that they've spent the money, but we still don't know how those pieces of the puzzle fit just yet. Oh, by the way, in case you've been sleeping behind a rock, Harold Perkins is coming back. Nuss is coming back, and there'll be 3 weeks on the field next year. Wes, who redshirted, Witt, who how long of recovery time for him? Broken fibula.
I don't know.
3 months?
Yeah, and I'm
4 months, whatever.
I guess.
He probably won't do anything in the spring, but he'll be back. And then, of course, the younger weeks coming in. So interesting that, and finally, Mike and I have been asking for a little Trey'Dez Green. Finally, they got him more involved. And Chris Hilton, along with Flau'jae Johnson, the power couple of LSU, ever since they made their dating relationship public, all of a sudden, inexplicably, Hilton's not dropping anything. Had another great game to follow up the season-ending win over Oklahoma. So you get him back. All those new receivers coming back, going to be a lot of fun to follow.
Brad David, Wilbur needs to stop giving coaches 7 and 10-year contracts. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it depends on who you're hiring, what your situation is. Certainly, Coach McMahon got that 7-year deal because you had the NCAA waiting to drop their hammer. Of course, he inherited a program where everybody hit the portal, and that's part of the reason for that. But at some point, LSU is going to need to, make a move as far as men's basketball go. And I'm not saying make a move as far as a head coach. How serious are they about it? Where does this, do they want to be a top-notch program? Do they want to win titles? Sometimes I wonder about a lot of these things. How little you see athletic department officials at athletic events. Sometimes it's amazing to me.
Well, here's the real catch-22 with Matt McMahon. You see all these coaches come in and bring in 8 or 9 players, a lot of them from where he was before, and then 5 or 6 via the transfer portal. How many basketball sugar daddies do you have? How many basketball aficionados want to give that $1 million or $2 million or whatever it takes to get these stars in here? You got 3 freshmen right now, and they're not playing much. Victorious Miller, I forgot if he's a nephew of Master P or whatever. Of course, Curtis Givens, who got a little PT last night, and Robert Miller, who's the legacy son of Robert Miller, who was a football player. If you don't get those guys involved and you keep playing these one-year guys that are coming in and continue to turn it over, and Sears and Cam Carter and Jai Bailey, if you start losing your freshmen, you got to develop a little base of 7 or 8 or 9 players and then spend some money. So I think you ask a good question. How committed is LSU to win?
Well, and I'm not going to say this was everything, but I would like to know what the gap was on CNAC. Have you heard any numbers thrown around? I mean, it's kind of been quiet. Was it just so obscene?
Well, the problem that I did hear is that Tillman Fertitta, who, as you know, one of the greatest restaurateurs.
Right, but I'd like to know what the number was.
Well, but he greased the palm. I mean, he made it to where that kid wasn't even going to think about going anywhere else.
Well,
so you got to get you a basketball sugar daddy or two to start competing with the big boys.
I think there's a couple of restaurant guys who are just as big as him.
Really?
Right here in town.
Really?
You don't think so?
Well, I know, but they're already getting torn every way, which way, with baseball and women's basketball and football.
Yep. All right, here we go. I'm real excited to talk about our newest sponsor. And here we go. Dykes Electrical is the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. No matter how big or small your electrical needs may be, Dykes is wired for success. Need a brand new 10-story office building? We can wire that. 200,000 square foot warehouse you need built? We can wire that. Expanding your existing commercial building? We can wire that. Changing out a breaker, whole electrical panel, or just a receptacle in your home or office? They can wire it. And upgrading old lighting in your home or office? They can wire it. So give them a call today at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180, for a free estimate on your project. Make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. Huge LSU fans at Dykes Electrical, a fantastic expanding company based right here in Baton Rouge. All Louisiana folks there, big LSU fans, and proud to have Dykes is the official electrical company of TigerBait.com.
You told me you were wired up for the show tonight, and we welcome you into the program.
Absolutely. All right, Andy Whitaker. Mike, see why Buddy and I are waiting to make predictions? Yeah, Andy, I don't mind telling you. I said it on Buddy's show. I've said it a few other places where I've been a guest on shows. And if you've been a regular on this show, coming out of November, early December, I was absolutely highly skeptical. And I talked about it on our last show. What they did, of course, I did say what you want to be talking about at Christmas time is Austin Thomas and what they did. And they did it. And the number 1 transfer portal class. I think the other part of it is what was available in the transfer portal compared to the previous December. It's not even close, because not only did LSU have the number 1 transfer portal class, there was also some stellar guys that other programs were able to get. There wasn't just one of this guy or two. I mean, if you really look at last December's portal, there wasn't anywhere near the caliber of players in real numbers at multiple positions that were in this class. And then LSU ran the table. And so absolutely, there was no way looking at that roster at the end of November and thinking if that portal, what was going to be in the portal was going to be similar to last year, did I see where LSU was going to get enough to improve my outlook for next year. But then what became available, and then they got what they got and spent the money and got aggressive and got arguably the top guy at multiple positions. I absolutely have them winning a couple of more games now.
And this is look, we mentioned
I was 7-5 for next year, no matter what. and now
Andy and I are saying, hold on, let's wait.
Well,
let's wait to see what they look
on
like.
Your show. The home schedule for LSU next year, you guys have seen it. It sucks.
Yeah.
You got one marquee game at home, A&M. So as much improved as this team is, they're going to have to do something. What have we done for the last 25 years? You would always look at the odd years because you knew that you had, but typically you had to beat Alabama on the road, which, they typically did more than they did at home.
Right.
But, when you had Florida at home, et cetera, the odd years were typically LSU's years, 03, 07, 11. Next year, you got to go to Clemson, got to go to Ole Miss, you got to go finish the season at Norman. Regardless of what Oklahoma, they're going to be an improved team. And you know what they did at home to Alabama. Now, you can say Alabama was way overrated, but that's the same Alabama team that laid the wood to LSU. But anyways, a much more positive outlook. I think this team really legitimately can be a playoff team next year, but they're going to really have to do extremely well on the road, which is hard.
Well, look, I asked Coach Kelly the Saturday before they went on the bowl game. I asked him about the difference with the transfer portal mentality. You've been asking him. I talked about this with Mike on the show today. Mike asked him in the first portal last year. And then, of course, when they needed the D tackles and the beef, he asked him again. Then he asked him another question this year, and it was a very layered question. BK basically said, we had to do this, and this, but now we are roster building. And the advantage of transfer portal players is that they have some experience. They are a couple of more years more physically mature and older. They know what it takes to prepare to play a grind. Not ever, all of them have been in the SEC, but a lot of these guys have been at major schools and played in major games. And so they're spending more money. They're getting guys that come in. But that attitude changed significantly once Austin Thomas and everybody got together and said, we've got to pay more players. You hate to use the P word. You don't want to overpay. Of course, if you lose the big quarterback that goes to Michigan, that's 10 or 12 million. You lose Jakeem Stewart, that's another 6 million. You lose Kate Phillips, that's another 3 or 4 million. That's what I was talking about. Everybody, oh, you old fart, you don't want to spend any money. No, I'd rather get 4 or 5 players than one guy. And so LSU needs to continue to supplement, and we'll give you the 13 true freshmen are coming in here and starting. They're arriving and going through school, and so they'll be part of spring ball. So you put those 13 earlier enrollees, another 16 or 17 with the portal, you got 30 new players out in spring.
Brian Lazard did a really nice feature on TigerBait a week or two ago. I think he came up with a figure where, what was it? The All-Americans, 60% of them were actually high school signees with the schools they sign with. You still got to be very strong in your high school recruiting. And more often than not, your transfer portal guys do not have as significant of outcomes as the guys that you sign out of high school. But that, that's obviously special cases. You still get your Burrows and your Daniels. But you still got to get it done high school wise. And you got to hold on to those guys. And there's also, there's something to be said for the guys you sign. It's easier to keep them at home and negotiate them while they're here versus trying to negotiate with someone who's at a different school.
Yeah, he did that on all of the players that made all SEC. But Mike, I think
he did a good job of that.
Yeah, he did.
The only guy that he lost, you say why, C.J. Daniels, but then Brown from Kentucky, I think is better than him.
Well, C.J. Daniels got to leave. He got 0. He's trying to make money on the next level. He scored 0 touchdowns. He don't want to come back here. My point was that I think the portal has gotten even increasingly more active since Brian did the studies. So we'll see if that still holds true. But combination of recruits. And by the way, real quick, some of the guys coming in, early arrivals, DJ Pickett, Mike, I got him as a chance to start. Harlan Berry going to be involved in offense at some point. Curious Current, I got him as a starter at offensive guard. Charles Ross going to play on special teams as a linebacker. Solomon Thomas, another big ugly, going to get in a 2 deep. Damian Shanklin, boy, do they have some depth at the edge rush now. You talked about him. He's a 4-star, was with the Tigers with the bowl along with Barry and Pickett. A lot of competition there. Teron Francis, can he step up and be the next great Louisiana wide receiver? J.D. LaFleur, of course, has got a lot of potential. Zion Williams, a big D tackle. Tyler Miller, a big offensive lineman. Brandon Brown, a D lineman. Dylan Battle, a D lineman. And then Brett Bordelon, who they like at center and guard. Those are the 13 freshmen that are on campus and will be participating in spring ball. You add the 16, 17 transfer portals. Like I said, you're talking about a ton of new players, and going to be interesting to see which you talked about it today. It's not only getting them here, but it's developing them and getting the most out of them.
Y'all do me a favor, hit the like button if you haven't already, and we're just at the halfway mark. Please share the link to the show to your fellow LSU fans. Share it to your Facebook feed and let everybody know we're live. We're going to take your question and comments for another 30 or 40 minutes. And, of course, got to talk about Struby's. Again, one of our favorite sponsors and one of the best restaurants in Baton Rouge, located at 107 3rd Street, downtown Baton Rouge. Fantastic steaks, USDA prime black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. And they've got a whole menu outside of red meat. They've got the pork chop, the black truffle lobster pasta, red fish, and much more. Specials, a great bar area, great desserts. The dessert menu there is absolutely fantastic. And so try out Struby's Seafood and Steaks, 107 3rd Street. And please tell them TigerBait sent you in. And I also need to talk about Genesis of Lafayette. And here we go. There you go. The Genesis GV70 2025. Got the new sales sheet in from my buddies over at Genesis of Lafayette. 2.9% APR for 60 months. And they've got incredible inventory there at Genesis of Lafayette. Go over there, take a test drive. Tell them you heard about it on TigerBait. And again, there's a reason why they sell more Genesis vehicles in the state of Louisiana than any other dealership in higher population areas, is because they deal. They don't give you the rigmarole, and they want to earn your business. They'll deliver it to your driveway. Just a total fantastic experience. Again, when they came on board with us, the fiance in there got hers last year, and she's still extremely happy with that purchase and dealing with them after fighting other Genesis dealers in the state of Louisiana to actually do the work and locate one for us. In 2 weeks, they found it and went all the way to South Florida to get the one she wanted. And that's why you want to do business with Genesis of Lafayette. Huge LSU fans. And again, the best there is. All right, everybody. Let's dive right back into it. I had to put a Notre Dame fan in time out earlier. Chuck E. Mike, back in the 70s and 80s, coaches typically had 5 years. Now it's must win today. I think it's ridiculous how some LSU fans are down on BK. Some say LSU hired the wrong coach from Notre Dame. And he says, and he didn't follow it up. But I think can be some factors. Can some coaches that don't achieve what meet expectations in 5 years, can they hold on? I think it depends on recruiting and any particular setbacks. I think, just like we're talking about Matt McMahon right now. There's no doubt that this team had something that was, I think that they were going to meet expectations, and then Reed blows out his knee. You've got to take some of those things into consideration. That and him also having one of the top recruiting classes in the country that he just signed. So I think he gets more time, if nothing else, because he did sign a 7-year deal, and I don't see him spend that kind of money.
Well, going back to Notre Dame and LSU, let's make everybody aware that Notre Dame was quite ballsy in that they hired a coach that had not been a head coach before. Marcus Freeman came in here, if you remember, he interviewed for the defensive coordinator job. We saw the wife walking off the tarmac and said, there's no way she's coming down here. And as we know, BK left and Freeman, they took a chance. But how much he's going to win, Mike, we're talking apples and oranges. Playing the Notre Dame schedule versus playing in the SEC. Now, Urban Meyer and everybody else are talking about, well, the SEC's dead. The SEC's this. In this particular year, the SEC coaches did not do a great job with the portal. It's obvious. Georgia lost Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers. The quarterback got hurt. They lost all those defensive studs. As you and I have said on numerous occasions, because of NIL and the transfer portal, it's hard to get 3 deep again. Ohio State went and bought the players. Notre Dame and Penn State, the winner is going to play either Ohio State or Texas. It's crazy.
And then you combine all that with a couple of injuries, and you're cooked.
But my point is that there's no way in hell Scott Woodward would have been able to hire Marcus Freeman that had no experience. They rolled the dice. It's worked out for them. But, man, talk about a jilted lover syndrome. I equate LSU's jilted lover syndrome to Nick Saban, even more so with BK and the Notre Dame fans.
Let me ask you this. The way the season ended, Chris Hilton last regular season game, and then what he did in the bowl game. If that version of Chris Hilton was there from week 1, what might have been different for the season? Do you think there might have been an extra win in there?
Oh, absolutely. I
think there would have been.
But, it's coulda, woulda, shoulda. And look, bottom line is that there's going to be pressure for Brian Kelly to make it to the playoffs next year. Let's just say that. You've been asking me that question. Now I'm ready to address it. There will be pressure to make the playoffs in 2025. If he doesn't, 2026 is make it or break it. If he doesn't make the playoffs, and you've been asking me this, if he doesn't make the playoffs, 25 or 26, there's going to be some serious discussions with money people and the AD. You hope that LSU is going to get over the hump and get into that 12. Of course, it goes to
But
14.
how many people, if he doesn't make it in 25, are going to give him the big mulligan because of the schedule?
Well, and look, the fans can.
I mean, Jacques did a Jacques talk with Verge Osbury and was talking about week 0 scheduling. Yeah. I mean, is that where we're at now, where you're running scared of?
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that premise. But bottom line is that he has got more talent. A lot of these transfer portal guys are going to be plug-and-play guys, and it starts with the center. And you'd love to get another tackle, all those edge rushers, the corners. By the way, Tamarcus Cooley is coming in for a visit. He's a safety from NC State. Got to get another safety or two, Mike.
Yeah, and look, it's Tamarcus Cooley from NC State. I think they're really that's the guy that they're zeroing in on, and we're going to see how that visit goes. Based on what they've done so far, you got to be extremely confident that LSU can pull him.
Yeah.
And then Donovan Green, I talked to him briefly yesterday. He arrives Friday for his visit, the tight end.
Yeah.
And I think we can have a debate whether they just need one. I think they probably need 2 tight ends. But it's very telling to me that we're now, a full week in a day from the Texas Bowl. Trey'Dez Green is not on the basketball court. And I think probably the way he played that bowl game and how good he looked there, and it being absolutely imperative that he adds muscle and gets stronger in the offseason. I think and the outlook for the LSU men's basketball team, it probably doesn't make any sense for him to put himself at risk. That's the other part of it. Like I said on your show earlier today, for a guy with his frame, 6'7", it is extremely difficult for tall guys like that. And I don't know what is, how easy or hard it is for him to gain weight, but you're not going to do it running up and down a basketball court. And so I think we're probably just by the fact that he hasn't shown up at basketball practice. And I was told that he actually had a locker with his picture on it in the PMAC and ready for him to show up. I don't think he's going to show up. I could be wrong. I think it's going to be strictly football because he sees what he needs to do to get his body right to be an every down tight end and a guy who can block. And that starts with getting stronger and more muscle.
And I got to add, we've had a lot of controversy with Joe Sloan and BK in the play calling. but I think Snake will agree with this. So frustrating. LSU has got to do a better job of playing and going to the guy that's hot. Chris Hilton caught 2 touchdowns against Oklahoma in the finale. He caught an early touchdown, caught another one at the half-yard line. Didn't go back to him. Tre'Davious Green had 7 catches and a couple touchdowns in the first half. Didn't go back to him. Caden Durham was shot out of a bottle early on before he was hurt. Didn't go back to him. They got to do a better job of locking in on the people who are hot, and whether that's BK, whether that's Frank, whether that's Joe Sloan or whatever, got to do a better job. You know, you saw the Texas bowl game. Everybody's asking, where's Hilton? Where's Tre'Davious Green? They couldn't guard him. You didn't hardly see him. Glad to see Josh Williams score. LSU got to get a little more explosive at running back as well.
You know, guys, one of the things that we've been talking about that's going to make the program be where you want it to be is Bayou Traditions. And TigerBait is proud to announce our new partnership with LSU Bayou Traditions Collective to help raise awareness on how fans can provide funds to NIL opportunities to selected LSU student athletes. All contributors who support Bayou Traditions through the options below, and we've got the link in the summary, both on TigerBait and here on YouTube, will receive 4 TF points per 1,000 contributed. These points will count toward your lifetime and philanthropic point totals. Donating is as simple as visiting the link in our description, BayouTraditionsCollective.com, selecting the fund you would like to contribute to, and entering payment information. And if you want to set up a recurring payment, simply select the pledge option, and they will follow up with you to get that set up. Help the Tigers be great with the Bayou Traditions Collective, and that's where it's at now. You want LSU to be great in every sport, it's the Bayou Traditions Collective. And if there's a sport that is your baby, I know how it works. You're going to write a check to Bayou Traditions, and in the memo, you're going to put the sport. If you're high on Beth Tarina softball, you put softball. Kim Mulkey, you put women's basketball. And or you make a bunch of checks, and each one of them gets their name in a memo. But Bayou Traditions is they've gotten it rolling, and of course, we all know what's going to happen in the spring with revenue sharing. And what you saw in December is because they've gotten it all together, and it is starting to roll. And LSU is going to be, I think, where you want them to be, and this is going to be an ongoing thing. All right.
By the way, just to spice up those Notre Dame fans, I understand why they're so frustrated. You ever been to South Bend?
No.
The sun doesn't come out, okay? Cold as you – look, folks, if you like this cold, move up there. They don't change their clocks. Don't have a lot of sunshine. You know how long it's been since they won a national championship? You know how long?
88?
Yeah, 37 years. Now, that's a lot of frustration. So don't get mad at the Domers because they're so close they feel like they can touch it. You know how long it's been since Penn State won a national championship? 39 years.
So you're saying for a blue blood program, they're kind of petrified?
I'm just saying that LSU fans stick their chest out and say, hey, look, the Tigers have won 3 in 20-something years, but all these teams in it. Texas, the last time they won, it was 2005. That's 20 years since they've won a natty. 11 years for Ohio State, 37 for Notre Dame, and 39 for Penn State. So it'll be interesting to see who wins it this year. But, Mike, I got to tell you, the way Ohio State embarrassed Oregon, but you know Ryan Day is going to do a little bit of this.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, the main thing for me is
37 years, Domers.
I think you probably disagree with me, but I'm glad an SEC team probably isn't going to win it. They're not going to win it.
Oh, Texas don't have a chance?
I don't think they win it. I hope they don't.
Ewers has a propensity to throw an interception on time.
I don't want the SEC to win a title. And I certainly don't want it to be Texas, and I didn't want Kirby Smart getting another one. Yeah. So I'm just fine with it.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying 37 years.
Who's in there? Who you hoping wins it?
I don't know. I want to see whoever.
I'm indifferent on the Buckeyes.
If Ohio State could play the next two games,
if
Ohio State could play the next 2 games the way they played the previous 2, they will win it. They're the best team in the country. But the problem is that putting these big games together.
So, or the bottom line is, I don't care as long as it's not Texas.
None of these coaches have won a natty. None of them.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, those Domers, 37 years and counting, and it wouldn't shock me if Penn State beat them tomorrow night.
So in other words, Lou Holtz says hello.
Yeah. Lou Holtz. My buddy Pete Cardelli, who's on the show with us. By the way, Katie Myers is our Notre Dame
And by the way,
alumnus
if
of
Notre
the year.
Dame wins it,
No, just for all the crap that they've spewed, I don't want Notre Dame to win it. You ever talk to Notre Dame people in the quarter? Oh, my goodness.
Are they as bad as Texas fans?
Oh, Notre Dame people are like a combination of Texas and Alabama in the same daiquiri. It's called a Notre Dame hurricane.
Yeah, all right.
They have a high opinion of themselves.
Okay.
Sorry, Dumbers. It's the truth.
I like it. Yeah, I already banned one Irish guy.
Well, look, they're going to win one of these days, but is it this year? We don't know. But, they have just gone overboard with the negativity. You worry about playing in that silly-ass schedule that you have. They lost to Northern Illinois. Look who they had to beat at the end. Stanford and USC and all these teams. Yeah, LSU lost to USC, but USC was an appreciably worse team by the time that they were in the season. We'll find out. Penn State has been chokers. James Franklin is a bad big game coach. Ryan Day has not been able to do it consistently. And, of course, as we know, Texas and Sark. So you're really pulling against the Longhorns, huh?
Yeah.
If they come in here in the first year and win it, is that the problem you have?
I love Dr. Sibley, but
yeah. Dr. Sibley, I know you're pulling for him.
But it's the purple and gold of Dr. Sibley that I love. But.
Yeah. Well, Ewers has a propensity to throw an interception late. And, oh, by the way.
I think Dr. Sibley knows what we're talking about when we talk about Texas.
But here's another little controversial thing with Texas. In that game, there was a controversial call about targeting. I don't know if you saw it. And it's one of the things that college football has got to fix. Is it targeting? Are they going to call it? Even on the replay, you never consistently get it right. So until they straighten that out. But there are a lot of people that thought that should have been targeting. If it would have been, Arizona State has the ball in an opportunity, in field position to kick the field goal, and it not going into OT. That all being said, you got to get some luck. You got to get some officials. You get all that to win a natty. It's just not steamrolling. You got to have some luck.
So here at the 45-minute mark, Buddy gets spicy, and that means it's time for some Mandas.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
And the flavor does say it all, huh, buddy?
No doubt about it, folks. Here's the reason I'm on this show and all our other shows. When you go to your local supermarket and deli, it's a no-brainer. Pick it up by name. Manda Fine Meats, where flavor and spice. And all of you Tiger fans really do say it all. And I'll say this. Pete Cardelli's daughter, Katie, if Notre Dame wins it, I'm going to send her a Manda ice chest via the mail for her to celebrate. She's a big Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. And, of course, they did get a little bit of the bad luck of the draw, Mike, because of the terrorism and the craziness in New Orleans. The Sugar Bowl got delayed one day, so they played last Thursday with this game tomorrow with the Cotton Bowl. And then, of course, the Orange Bowl. The Orange Bowl going tomorrow night and the Cotton Bowl going on Friday. They have about a day and a half less to prepare than Penn State did. So we'll see if that affects them. But look, I love college football, but it's hard. It's hard to pick when you're talking about the arrogance of Texas, the arrogance of Notre Dame, and the way they've interacted with the LSU fan base. Ohio State, Ryan Day bringing over Chip Kelly to call plays. And I will say this for the Notre Dame fans. You've got one positive thing. Mike Denbrock is calling plays, and Brian Kelly is not there hamstringing him. I'm a big believer that BK gets plenty involved in that offensive philosophy. I think he needs to hire young and listen to somebody young. That's why we saw all those changes in the offense. They've got a chance, though, with Mike Denbrock. He might, but Riley Leonard is their quarterback. If Penn State tackles him and keeps him from making big plays with his feet, Penn State will win that ball game tomorrow night.
All right, everybody. We're inching close to the start of baseball season, believe it or not. We get Jay Johnson at the end of the month. And, of course, Alumni Hall. First of all, with the cold snap right now, you want to get over to Alumni Hall in Perkins Row because they've got all the fancy fleece, the pullovers, the quarter zips, the really nice stuff, the sweatshirts, the hoodies. They've got a new batch of Yeti insulated cups and mugs over there. Get over to Alumni Hall. Again, one of our fantastic sponsors. And when you go in the store, all one word, TigerBait, say it at the register, and you're going to get 10% off everything you buy. Or if you shop with them online at alumnihall.com/LSU, and when you check out online, put TigerBait in the promo code or coupon code box, and you're going to get 10% off there. And like I always tell you, what's great about shopping with Alumni Hall, first of all, they're in the NIL space and are involved with LSU athletes. But also, anything you buy from them is shipping from the Baton Rouge store, so you're going to get it quickly. And it's not coming from Connecticut or anywhere up in the Northeast, and you're dealing with delays. It's coming from Baton Rouge, and most of y'all are here in Louisiana that are watching, or in the southern region, so you're going to get it a lot quicker. Free shipping on all orders are $199, and they always have the mix and match 2 for $38 champion branded T-shirts, and those are some really nice ones. They have those on tables in the front of the store. Beautiful store right there in Perkins Row. And I also need to talk about Capital City Grill and their fantastic brunch. And again, one of the great lunch spots in Baton Rouge, located at 100 Lafayette Street. They've got hamburgers, club sandwiches. They've got a French dip sandwich that I love. They've got it all for you. Great carrot cake, the best carrot cake in town. But the Sunday brunch from 11 to 2 is absolutely outstanding. And certainly after when baseball season cranks up, or before you head to the box for a Sunday game, you can get over to Capital City Grill and get brunch from 11 to 2. So book your reservation online tonight at capitalcitygrill.net and make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. But you really don't need a reservation. They've got it's all walk-ins, and the parking is actually a lot easier than you think in that area of downtown Baton Rouge.
Girlfriend and daughter went over there for Sunday brunch last weekend. Mike, it was so crowded. They sat at the bar. They ended up eating at the bar. Bartender was fantastic. They're busy. They're consistent. We talk about all the things. He continues to talk about the carrot cake. But look, give them an opportunity. I love the outdoor seating, but I'm not exactly enamored to it right now. A little chilly, but They had a great time. And shout out to all the folks over there working hard because, as you know, I'm not the only one that's impatient in this town.
Yep. Little Ricky runs that, and they're just great people and locally owned and operated, ownership right in the building. And what I really like is they're really make a lot of stuff from scratch with some really great recipes. They take a lot of pride and really getting everything right before they get it out to you. Jimmy Page with a super chat. Thank you for that great show as always, guys. Love your passion. He's a Notre Dame fan, and we'll see.
Good to talk with you, Jimmy.
Yeah, good evening, Mike and Buddy. Notre Dame has no passing. I guess Brian Kelly is responsible for Watergate also. And how about daylight savings time? When is daylight savings time ever going to end?
No, I think it's done. I think that they're not going to change it anymore, from what I was told.
Rubio had something a while back, and then it died. I don't know where that's going to go.
Notre Dame in South Bend does not change the time. There's a couple of other places. I think Arizona and Hawaii don't change.
Why didn't Louisiana do it? We can do it standalone.
I don't know. I just know that I used to travel into South Bend, and anybody can relate to this. I get in and fly out of New Orleans to Baton Rouge into O'Hare, and then you get in a little bitty, I'm talking about little bitty plane on a Friday night with ice and snow all around. You better have some rosary beads with you. But look, It's a storied program. They want to be relevant again. Do you think they should be? Now, James Franklin kind of stirred it up the last couple of days because he thinks everybody should be in a conference. Should they be in a conference in football?
There's been multiple times in our lifetimes where the other conferences and other universities in America could have starved them out and kept giving them lifelines. Letting them play all other sports in this conference. And
the ACC is doing that now.
I blame everybody for letting them get away with it.
But NBC gave them the exclusive contract, and that's why they've been able to be.
Texas didn't get away with it. Look what happened to them. They got big, high and mighty with the Longhorn Network, and Texas A&M said, "Oh yeah, we're out of here."
Yeah.
And now look where Texas is at. They joined little brother in the SEC a decade later. So. Yeah, Maui John, where's Walker Howard? He's at ULL. He's at Louisiana Lafayette.
Going to be able to throw to Shelton Sampson, and he made the trip over there to Lafayette. We saw those guys going over there. But what do you think Walker's going to do over there?
I think he's going to be highly successful.
Really?
I do.
Okay. Had a good year. They played in a bowl game.
Yep. LSU women's basketball tomorrow night in Knoxville. What a schedule this is going to be for LSU. It's going to be a lot different from any other year that Kim Mulkey's been at LSU, because this week you've got 7 ranked teams in the SEC. LSU will play Tennessee twice. If you're a season ticket holder for LSU women's basketball, it's not just you're playing a very good unranked SEC team. There's going to be a lot of ranked teams, and like Buddy and I talked about earlier on the show, the over and under, I think, is 3 losses in the regular season for LSU, and he's going to nail it right on the dot and say 3. So it's a what do you call that when you tie with the bookie?
Push.
Yeah.
13-3 is what we predicted on the ladies.
That's probably right.
Tennessee's hanging around there, 16 or 18.
New
they
coach.
were undefeated, got beat by Oklahoma by 1 point. Oklahoma had a big lead and almost lost.
What about Mulkey yesterday saying she wants to be a midwife and help her deliver the baby? Did you hear that clip?
I didn't.
Yes, Mulkey was talking about how she's due any minute now, and she goes, I hope she has it right in the middle of the game. And I told Grant after, I said, that clip is going viral. And sure enough, it did. That's vintage Mulkey. But
I heard her singing a little bit of Rocky Top. She loves Rocky Top.
Yeah, she did that to start it.
Yeah. So, but look, the days of Pat Summitt Head, they packed that place. In fact, the women drew more than the men for a while when Pat Head was winning all those natties. But, one game at a time. I still go back to the women. Got to stop dribble, drive, penetration. You watch these teams, and they're all taking everybody down low. You get into foul trouble. You don't have the bigs. Samaya Smith and Jersey got to play a little bit more consistent. Anissa Morrow is going to give you a double-double. Flaugier, All-American, if she plays her best game. Michaela, she's got to make some 3 balls, because if she doesn't, that takes away the potential. But KG, when does she start? Or do you think she keeps coming off the bench? Talking about
Mulkey was asked that, and she just kind of
Chessa asked her.
Said it doesn't matter, or it might be where she does some and sometimes she doesn't. But I think that she can be the difference. I've been kind of thinking that this team might be a Sweet 16 at best, and if Gilbert plays like she has been and is consistent with it, she could be the spark to get LSU possibly even further than that. And Jersey Wolfenberger, I think her play and gets, Samaya, I think, is probably going to get more confident as the season goes along with the knee, coming back off the knee. But I think Jersey's gotten a lot better. Now, she's another one where they're like, we need to get her bigger and stronger. But how can you do that during the season? That's impossible.
I heard your question with Coach Mulkey.
She's got little legs. She's tall, but she's not, overly big and muscular. But I tell you what, she's really good on her offensive rebounding. She put her putbacks. I think there's a reason to be a little bit more upbeat about this women's team. A lot of people are upset because they've stayed at number 6 in the poll the last 3 weeks, but I think that's probably about right.
Yeah.
You do have question marks down low. And there's at times where LSU slept walk, but they've remained undefeated. So, but the tests are starting. It's going to be a really tomorrow night's a really big barometer for what this LSU women's basketball team is.
Hey, a couple of other tidbits. Shout outs to two freshmen coming in. Kaylin Chio, who is with the gymnastics team. She debuted, was in the all-around, finished second to Aaliyah Finnegan this last weekend when they played hosted Iowa State. She is unbelievable as a freshman. And look, we talk about Beth Torina. I've been asking Beth Torina to bring in a lefty all these years. Heavener has already been on some preseason award list. So look for Heavener and Chio to be the latest freshman phenom women athletes at LSU. And, of course, as we know, Mike, baseball is going to be loaded. I said this today with you today. I just think that they're going to really start fast. And I don't know if Jay's had this kind of talent from 1 through 30 or 35. I don't remember what the roster will end up being because he's done a different thing with NIL. But the depth that he's got on the pitching staff. Now, there's always going to be an injury, and there's already 1 or 2 that's been hurt. But, man, you got some depth with the pitching staff. So preseason number 2, A&M was one of the first polls. And so looks like it's going to be a great year for you Tiger fans in 2025.
Dr. John Sibley Butler comes in here late. He says KG is one of the best players in the country. Go Tigers.
Dr. Butler.
Dr. Butler, if you just arrived, don't rewind it because we were getting after your Longhorns a little bit. But there you go.
Well, I will say this, and you will agree with this. There were 2 or 3 Saturdays this year where Texas looked like the best team in the country. There were 2 or 3 Saturdays this year where Ohio State looked like the best team in the country. You can go on and on and on. Oregon looked like the best team 4 or 5 weeks. But you gotta keep the turnovers down with Quinn Ewers, and you can't have you gotta finish drives, and you get inside the red zone. You got to score touchdowns. You can't kick field goals and win in these big games. But Mike, in case you missed it, Dr. Butler, we all have favorites to who we want to win. I don't want to see Notre Dame win. I'm sorry. They've been overloading the mouth all year long, all of this crazy stuff they've been talking about. So sit on another 37 years before you win one, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Dr. Butler says Kim could win it all.
Kim what?
The Kim Mulkey could. Look, South Carolina had a key injury.
Ashley Watkins.
Yeah, I need to see some more. I'm still kind of hedging my bets, but I think if KG gets uncorked and I think she can be a really big spark here.
I must say LSU women's is 1 year away from winning it all. I think this year they're a year away, but they got 4 or 5 stars coming in.
Yeah,
and you're only losing who this year? Tomorrow.
Jim Langlaw says, "Hey Mike, do you think one of the secret commits is Derek Williams from Texas?" That's been floated in others.
The old days of Tiger Rag many years ago, 30 and 40 years ago, there's a secret commitment. Remember how that was the big thing? Who's the secret commitment? There's so much craziness out there. But look, who knows nowadays? He hasn't really played that much. But I want him to get this North Carolina State.
I want him to get a guy who's proven and who's played a lot of downs and has been a starter.
Yeah.
So
I like this kid coming in this weekend. Look for him and the tight end from A&M. You get those two.
I want Cooley.
Yeah, Cooley could be the next one to fall, and then Donovan Green, the big tight end from A&M.
All right. Anything you want to add on the way out?
Just that hope everybody doing well, stay warm, and glad to be back. Hope everybody had a good holiday season, and keep your chin up, folks. LSU football is going to be better next year. How much better? We got to take the patience pills and be interesting. I was looking at the calendar. You and I were talking about it. Generally, early March is when we go out there spring football. We're only talking about a couple of months. March to February. We're talking 8-9 weeks before we're back out there getting football.
I can't wait because it's – man, when you got this many new faces and newcomers and you know, you always like to say you better get a roster. You're going to be saying that a lot on a practice report. So, all right. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Please hit the like button on the way out. If you haven't subscribed already to our channel, please do that. Hit the subscribe button. And if you click that notification bell, you'll get an alert every time we upload an interview or do another show or upload anything LSU related. And so thanks again for all of you tuning in as always. And we'll see you next week with another show. And I might actually be coming with a launch of a new show. So be on the lookout for that, that we're going to be added to TigerBait. So, all right, everybody. Good night.